Welcome, age of vintage society. Twiggy's gamine frame and mod look defined the fashion industry during much of the late 20th century. She is widely considered to have been one of the world's first supermodels, a top fashion model who appears simultaneously on the covers of the world's leading fashion magazines, and is globally recognised by first name only. Is it really Twiggy's fault that thinness became fashionable? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Twiggy, the first super skinny supermodel. Starting out as a prominent teenage model in London during the swinging 60s, Twiggy was renowned for her androgynous, dollish looks and bold lashes. As her fame spread worldwide, Twiggy became the emblem of mod style, and her signature look made her one of the biggest figures in fashion and beyond. She has also enjoyed a successful, prolific career as an actress and a singer, earning numerous accolades, awards, and even the royal honour of Dame over the course of her life. The gangly waif with a geometric haircut, nicknamed Twiggy, teenagers the world over craved her pixie look. She set an androgynous trend for models thereafter. There were Twiggy mannequins, accessories, dolls and makeup. Famously, her three-tiered eyelashes alone set a beauty trend. It's impossible to think about the 60s without mentioning Twiggy. The British model's bold eye makeup, cropped cut aesthetic became a true reference for the decade's mod look, revolutionising the fashion industry and inspiring young people around the world to trade voluminous skirts and curls for mini dresses and short locks. Twiggy had no intention of becoming a symbol of the times, but instead fell into the fashion world through serendipity. She symbolised the 60s, went on to act, most notably in The Boyfriend, which showcased her dancing skills and for which she earned 2 Golden Globe Awards. Home-loving, clean-cut, and definitely not a party girl that invited scandal, she got on with the modelling quietly and still does, having partnered successfully with Marks & Spencer since 2012, when she designed her own fashion line-up until recently. There were no tantrums, she turned up, modelled, and most likely went home for a nice cup of tea afterwards. And born naturally skinny with no body issues, she sensibly spoke out against the later heroin chick model trend. Awarded in 2019 for services to fashion, arts and charity, she is now a Dame Twiggy, not bad for the Cockney kid with a face to launch 1,000 shapes, proclaimed when she was discovered. September the 19th, 1949, in a suburb of Neasden was born Leslie Hornby, whom the whole world now knows as Twiggy. The first real top model in the history, the popularity of whom was greater than the popularity of the movie stars. Unearthly creature, girl with eyes half her face, turned into a charming woman, implemented in all areas of life. As it turns out, quite fragile fairy can become not just a model, actress, singer and businesswoman. She was the third child of William Hornby and Nellie Lydia, having 2 elder sisters, Shirley born in the year 1934 and Vivian born in 1942. Twiggy's father was employed as a carpenter and her mother was a factory worker. She was very close to her mother and learnt how to sew from her, but it is believed that Nellie suffered from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which left Shirley with the responsibility to raise Twiggy. "I wouldn't go anywhere without my mum. It's amazing what happened to me because I was so shy and insecure," she says. She never even thought of becoming a performer, but she loved fashion and had pictures of the model Jean Shrimpton on her bedroom walls, along with the Beatles, so had vague ambitions to become a model or fashion designer. She completed her education from Brondesbury and Kilburn High School in Queen's Park, England. Twiggy attended a high school for girls, and in 1965, at age 15, while working as an assistant in a London hair salon, she met hairdresser Nigel Davis, later known as Justin de Villeneuve, who called her Twigs because of her thin frame. When she was so skinny, she was sometimes called Sticks, which she hated. Then Twiggy came out of that. It was affectionate, so I didn't really think about it. It was only when a newspaper called me Twiggy, the face of 66, that I realised I was stuck with it for life. But to be quite honest, it's been rather good to me, she says. The following year he spearheaded her physical transformation, pairing a short boyish bob with big darkly lined eyes and false eyelashes. Twiggy's adolescent physique was ideal for the rising hemlines and unisex patterns that were then in vogue, and her overall look distinguished her from the curvaceous, glamorous top models of the era. Leslie Lawson's life radically transformed at the age of 16, all because of a haircut. Lawson had no intention of changing her hair that day, let alone embark on a legendary career trajectory. In an interview, the model explains that she stopped by a London salon called House of Leonard to buy a shampoo. The salon's owner, Leonard, asked to cut her hair, and Lawson agreed. I was very shy, and was in a very posh salon in Mayfair, so I was too shy to say no, you know, she says. Suddenly she found herself undergoing a total transformation, sporting a brand new blonde pixie cut. The end result was photographed by Barry Latigan, and was used to promote the salon, which soon caught the attention of the media. By blending pop art with fashion, the doe-eyed, pouty-lipped gay mean with the angelic puss and boyish crop took the industry by storm at age 17, defining the age of flower power. A model for a scant 4 years, she had never even walked the runways by the time she exploded onto the scene. After spotting her photograph on a salon wall, a fashion journalist for the Daily Express newspaper interviewed her and published an article featuring her, christened Twiggy, as the face of 66, and she was subsequently voted British Woman of the Year. Twiggy began modelling extensively, quickly gaining international recognition, and her appearance on the cover of the US edition of the leading fashion magazine Vogue, April 1967, heralded her rise to fame. Twiggy was soon considered iconic of the decade, and her name was marketed as a brand in connection with a string of products, including a Twiggy doll. Twiggy soon became a famous personality, being considered by many to be the world's first supermodel. At 5'6" and waif-thin, she ushered in a new look for models at the time, and who could forget the iconic eye makeup, which Twiggy herself modelled after the lashes of a doll. By the time she was 17, Twiggy was one of the most famous faces in the world, and went on to grace the covers of magazines like Vogue and Tatler. In her prime, she even had her own American publication, her Mod Teen World. The psychedelic 60s would not have been the same without her. She even found some success as a singer. She released a single called Beautiful Dreams in 1967, was nominated for a Tony Award in 1983, and also went on to act in various film and TV roles. She was one of the youngest people to be featured on the biographical television documentary This Is Your Life, aged only 20. In her 60s heyday, Twiggy was the focus of many products made in her image, including a Barbie doll, a board game, a lunchbox, her own magazine, and, of course, false eyelashes. Twiggy wasn't allowed to wear makeup, but at the weekends she and her friends would practice doing their faces. She made her eyes look like the ones painted on her rag doll, just playing around, but it became her look. The iconic eyelashes, or Twiggies, that she is famous for were her own invention. It used to take me an hour and a half to do. I had 3 pairs of false eyelashes on the top. I'm amazed I could open my eyes. Then I used to paint the lines underneath. So in 1966, when I was plucked from anonymity into the madness it became, that was my look. From 1966 until 1970, Twiggy travelled the world modelling for numerous magazines. Her photograph was even encased in a time capsule and sent into space. During those years as a model, she posed for some of the top photographers in the world, including Barry Latigan, Helmut Newton, Terence Donovan, Melvin Sokolowski, Richard Avedon, and Bert Stern, who would make 3 documentaries about her extraordinary trip to the USA in 1967. In the 1970s, she moved into the acting world when Ken Russell cast her in the lead role in the musical film of The Boyfriend, for which she won 2 Golden Globe Awards. In 1972, she posed with David Bowie to create the classic shot that became the cover of Pin-Up's album. Also in the 1970s, after the release of her first album, Twiggy did a concert tour, ending with a sellout appearance in London at the Royal Albert Hall. After the success of The Boyfriend, Twiggy decided to concentrate on acting, singing and dancing. Her films and TV include W, The Doctors and the Devils, Club Paradise, The Blues Brothers, The Little Match Girl, Madame Susatska, the US sitcom Princesses, Young Charlie Chaplin, and playing Eliza Doolittle in Pygmalion for ITV in the UK. Twiggy also had her own musical TV series in the 1970s on the BBC. Another milestone in Twiggy's varied career was when she had her own chat show series on ITV, Twiggy's People, interviewing among others Dustin Hoffman, Lauren Bacall, Tom Jones, Joan Rivers, Eric Idle and Tim Curry. In the 2000s, Twiggy was, for 3 years, a judge on the phenomenally successful US reality show America's Next Top Model, with Tyra Banks. She may have graced the covers of Vogue and Tatler, but the former model recalls being a funny, skinny little thing who thought the world had gone mad. But it turns out that she did not care for how she looked. In fact, she hated it. I was this funny, skinny little thing with eyelashes and long legs, who had grown up hating how I looked, she has revealed. I thought the world had gone mad. Way before Kate Moss's time, Twiggy is sometimes blamed for the start of the fashion industry's obsession with young skinny girls and the rise of eating disorders. Today she's quick to point out that she felt unattractive and awkward as a young teenager and much too thin, stating, "I hated what I looked like." Twiggy weighed just 6.5 stone as a teenage model and has claimed that look is a total impossibility for a woman over the age of 20. She is also of the opinion that unnaturally skinny celebrities look terrifying. Twiggy goes to war on obesity. She was the first super skinny model and claims she ate like a horse, but here she says our bulging waistlines are a national tragedy. I do think some of today's models get too thin for their own good, because they're pressured into it, but models are always going to be skinny. I even got blamed for anorexia back in the 1960s, which was unfair because I ate like a horse. If I told you what I used to eat back then, you'd laugh. I probably eat 1/3 of that now. I was young, I was growing, and my metabolism and appetite were really high, and a lot of girls today are very tall. I'm tiny for a model, 5'6". Most models are 5'10", 5'11", or even 6 foot. But one has to be aware, and I do think the model agencies, and I hope the magazines, are being a bit more responsible, because there's been such an outcry about it. Anorexia is a terrible, terrible illness. I'm lucky to be naturally slim. My dad was very slender, and he was the same weight when he died as he was when he was 20. Twiggy is an ardent supporter of animal welfare through numerous charities, a supporter of breast cancer now, and various children's charities. She was honoured to receive the Freedom of the City of London in 2017. During the mid-2000s, Twiggy teamed up with Marks & Spencer in an advertising campaign that was very successful. She has her clothing line, which sells on the HSN channel in the United States, and she also has a clothing range available via Marks & Spencer online. The Daily Express newspaper in the UK named her the Face of 1966, and the same year she was voted the British Woman of the Year. She was a trendsetter, a daring dresser, and an icon in her own right. In fact, you might wear pieces that are styled after Twiggy's 60s outfits and not even know it. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. What do you think about the life and legacy of Twiggy? She was one of the most distinguished cultural and fashion icons of the 20th century.